welcome. Thank you for joining us. I am April Knight and you're watching News 2 Week in Review. Topping our stories tonight, the primaries are over, but you wouldn't know that by the amount of arguing taking place during Board of Elections meetings. Board of Elections members spent hours on Thursday dealing with challenges filed by or against candidates who were running in the recent primary elections. News 2's James Gardner was there and has this update.
With the counting of the outstanding ballots complete in both districts, Virgin Islands Joint Board of Election members convened on Thursday to resolve several challenges filed by or against candidates running in the August primary. First on the agenda was a recount petition filed by St. Croix Senate candidate Nemi Jackson-Williams, whose concerns centered on irregularities experienced by voters using machines either during the early voting process or on primary election day. Specifically, two witnesses called by Jackson-Williams and her campaign manager, Dale Brown, said the voting machines they used did not accept their ballots the first time around. And once the ballots were accepted, the screen on the machine did not show the voters who they actually voted for.
When I went to that machine to receive my vote, they kicked it back up.
What did it say? It didn't make a sound of notation. You didn't see the screen.
And he said, watch that. All I know, he kicked it back on. The lady said, she know what happened. We went back in front of the same board. We stand up and press again. Went over and he said, like that.
In the case of Violet Rogers, poll watchers explained that Rogers only selected 3 candidates in the St. Croix Senate race instead of 7. In which case she would not have been shown who she voted for, but rather who she didn't vote for and given the option to select from the remaining candidates. Rogers, however, said there was a period where the machine didn't inform her that she had undervoted, but rather kick her ballot back out twice.
When it was time to put it in the computer, it recognized one of my selections, but it did not recognize the rest 3 selections that I had placed on the ballot. I was told to take it out by one of the workers and to go and make sure that all my bubbles were filled in. I went and I completed that assignment for the second time. When I fed the machine the ballot, it gave me the same response. It only recognized one of my votes and not the other 3 that I had put it down in.
When asked, the poll watcher said she was satisfied that Rogers did have the opportunity to cast her ballot. Asked further if she had any concerns about Rogers' experience, the poll watcher said no, that Rogers may not have understood fully what she was doing. In the end, the board denied the recount petition, citing human error and a lack of education surrounding the voting process, particularly the concept of undervoting, in which the voter doesn't select the minimum number of candidates required in a given race. For News 2, this is James Gardner.
Board members also discussed the eligibility of St. Croix candidate Alison de Gazon, but decided that she indeed was a legal resident of the Virgin Islands by July 4th. That conversation was cut short after St. Croix board member Javon Williams asked to see the corresponding documents, and board chairman Arturo Watlington pushed back by saying the information was not for public view and was irrelevant. We'll keep you updated. Well, on Thursday, a federal jury in the Virgin Islands District Court found former Senator Wayne James guilty of wire fraud and embezzlement. That was on Thursday. Evidence during trial showed that in 2009, James started submitting requests to the Senate for research funding for the 1878 fire burn, St. Croix's famous labor uprising, all done in advance of related legislation that he was proposing. Throughout his term in office, James made a total of 11 requests for funding and received more than $90,000. The legislature's business office apparently did not track where any of the money went, and just about half of the requests yielded receipts. One of the larger allocations given to James amounted to $28,000. While investigators found that James did use some of that money for research, the vast majority, roughly $70,000, was put to personal use by James, according to the prosecution. Judge Curtis Gomez scheduled James' sentencing for December 20th of this year. Well, the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority came before the Senate Finance Committee on Tuesday. WAPA CEO Lawrence Kupfer detailed many of the agency's challenges. According to WAPA officials, on the electrical side, the utility projects a $45 million deficit, offset a little bit by a projected $4.2 million water income on the water side. The authority is working with the Department of Treasury to secure an additional community disaster loan to help bridge the shortfall, according to Kupfer, but rates may be impacted to compensate for any shortfall. Coincidentally, the utility also reported that the Virgin Islands government owes it some $41.2 million coming from deficiencies both in their electric and water systems. Much of that debt was accrued by the territory's hospitals, roughly $23 million combined. Right there on your screen are the numbers. The Waste Management Authority also contributed to the debt. The street lights via the Department of Finance, which recently cut its $6.6 million electric bill by $3 million, and the VI Housing Finance Authority, which owes $1.44 million. Well, last Friday, we reported on the visit of former President Bill Clinton's visit to the territory, his second visit since the hurricanes hit. Clinton, along with officials from Bloomberg Philanthropies and the Expedia Group, announced that they were doing 3 solar projects, 2 of them to power the Gift Hill School on St. John and the St. John Christian Academy, also on St. John, and the Family Resource Center on St. Thomas. They said hopefully the projects will ensure that critical centers like these for the community will not shut down in the event of another disaster. In addition, officials also hinted at a larger project that could make St. John fully independent with its renewable energy needs, met fully with renewable sources on the island. Let's listen to some of the remarks made during that announcement.
Today we are here to announce that our partners at Expedia Group, along with the Bloomberg Recovery Team and the Clinton Global Initiative, will be installing solar panels here at the Resource Center and at 2 schools on St. John, the Gift Hill School and the St. John Christian Academy. Both of those schools opened their doors to our public school students after the storms, and I personally want to say thank you to them for their heartfelt help.
What this proves is that partnerships work better than people working alone. And they work a whole lot better than people fighting each other. So I have found, and I could literally fill this Family Resource Center with the studies which prove that diverse groups make better decisions than lone geniuses, much less people who think they are and aren't.
Coming up next, an organization helping young Virgin Islanders get ahead received thousands of dollars in donations from the recent King of the Wing competition. Plus, St. Croix Rotarians celebrating multi-decade anniversaries. We'll be right back with the highlights. Welcome back. You might remember this year's King of the Wing competition. It was held in June and it included 42 participants from all 3 islands. International Capital Management Company emerged as the new grand champion. My Brother's Workshop also won in the restaurant category for the first time. King of the Wing is hosted by Alpine Securities every year and raises money for the Junior Achievement of the Virgin Islands. Junior Achievement is dedicated to teaching young people in the VI all about financial literacy, work readiness, and entrepreneurship. And on Tuesday, they got more than $63,000 in donations toward their cause. Here's more.
I just want to thank Alpine Securities and White Cane Bay Group, as well as all the other sponsors, for the generous donation that we have received actually over the last 3 years worth of sponsorship. This year is a special year. It's actually the 100th year anniversary for junior achievement worldwide. And we in the Virgin Islands are just so happy that we can actually participate in the celebration of this wonderful group. Last year we had a little blip with the hurricanes and we weren't able to actually execute most of the programs. However, this year we're up and we're moving and we're asking for volunteers to come and join us.
Really excited to receive monies that will go towards, our programming dealing with our youth. That's the one thing that we're invested in, and that's the one thing that we always promote, especially trying to let them see that what their potential is and full advantage of participating in these kinds of things. They really had a fun time doing it.
Special. It's an honor to just be a part of something that does something that is of such value to the community. Junior Achievement's a very important organization here on island, and again, just to be a part of what's going on with this today is an honor. So is My Brother's Workshop. We're very impressed with what they do. Those kids are amazing.
Congratulations to everyone. Now, St. John residents are not happy with this news. One of the two barges operating between St. John and St. Thomas recently went into dry dock for a scheduled Coast Guard inspection. The Virgin Islands Port Authority sent out a news release that the General 2, owned by Global Marine, will be out of commission for up to 2 weeks. The barges must undergo a complete inspection of their hulls every 2 years, so barge operators don't really have a choice in this particular matter. After the General 2 returns from its Coast Guard inspection, the barge will continue its runs from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Barge operators would prefer that the Port Authority allow the barge terminals to implement extended hours, at least until 8 p.m., they said, to allow St. John residents more time to run important errands on St. Thomas. Well, over the weekend, 4 Rotary clubs on St. Croix celebrated multi-decade anniversaries. They marked the event by having Rotary International President Barry Razin come down to join in the celebrations. Razin spoke about the various projects and local facilities that they visited while he was down here, as well as why Crucians should be really proud of their local Rotarians. Here's more.
I came to St. Croix because I wanted to, number one, thank all of the Rotarians that are here in St. Croix for the great work that they're doing right here at home to make their community a better place. And this has been a hard year. One reason I wanted to come this year is because with all the hurricane damage last year and all the needs that you still have, but Rotary is resilient, Rotary is persistent, and the clubs here are doing a great job of what they can do to work with the government and apart from the government, but to help communities go in the right direction. We did go to the community gardens, which I mentioned, and I think that's an excellent program to help create your own vegetables, your own gardens, so that you can not only feed yourself, but you could also earn revenues from it. We went to one of the hospitals where Rotary had provided some AEDs or defibrillators to assist the hospital. And being a hospital administrator, I have a special place in my heart when I visit hospitals, and I know they have a lot of work to do. But in spite of all the work they need to do, they're still carrying on and seeing patients as much as they possibly can. We also saw a Rotary Peace Park, where right by the water, where people can come, not only just have a park to stay in and a beach to go to, but also apparatus where they can do some exercise, because we realize that good diet and good exercise is so important for us to maintain our health. So that's also a major project of Rotary here. I find it very interesting that we have a club having its 60th anniversary, a club having its 50th anniversary, a club having its 30th anniversary, and I believe the other club is 22 years. It's really important to celebrate when you have an anniversary like that, because you're looking at going back to the beginning, 60 years, when people came together and said, let's start a Rotary Club here in St. Croix so we can do good things to make our community better. And if you think about what happened each year since then, the number of lives that have been touched because Rotary was here, we have changed the future of many people in this country because Rotary existed. Crucians should be very proud of the people who are in Rotary because they're dedicated, they're committed, they're determined they're going to do the best possible thing they can do to make this community a better place. And they work together in unity as the 4 clubs to come together to really make sure that everything is cohesive and done the way it should be done. So I'm very proud of Rotary here, and I couldn't ask for better than what they're doing right now.
Stick around, your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next. Welcome back. A group of council members and labor union leaders flew all the way from New York City for their annual Black, Latino, Asian, and labor unions retreat. They've been coming down here for 4 years, but this year they're turning the event into a mission to lend a helping hand to local nonprofits. Here's more.
This year we decided, due to the weather conditions that hit the territory hard, that we would turn it into a humanitarian effort. So a number of us, a delegation of New York came down, numbers of city council members, assembly members, labor leaders came on down, and just our families came to do our part here in the Virgin Islands, St. Thomas, to build. So we cleaned up yesterday. Today we're here at our brother's workshop building tables for our kids for this school session so they have some place to set their books down or even just eat their lunch. So we're just proud to be here and be a part of being our brother's keeper. More important, following the scriptures, saying that we are our brothers and sisters keeper via the scriptures, to doing all we can for our brothers and sisters here in the Virgin Islands.
Many of these councilmen and legislators and labor union leaders represent Virgin Islanders in the New York area who have made New York their home for generations, or they've relocated to the New York area. But mostly many are like 3rd and 4th generation Virgin Islanders.
Today we were making tables because all of the outside seating for the school department has been blown away. So we're making picnic benches for the local schools, and they'll be dropped off during the week. So when the kids actually start back to school, they'll have some place to sit at recess and to enjoy it.
You know, in order to rebuild, everyone has to pitch in. Whether you live here or you don't, we're asking everyone, whether you're walking down the street, pick up some debris, pick up something, throw it in the trash. If you can just give somebody a hug just to make their day a little better.
Well, mark your calendars. Tomorrow, Saturday, the Humane Society of St. Thomas is commemorating International Homeless Animals Day and drawing attention to the persistent problem of animal overpopulation in the territory and the need to spay and neuter our pets. They're calling on the community to come out to this event. They're holding a candlelight vigil at the Yacht Haven Grand on Saturday, August 18th, and that starts at 7 p.m. They are accepting donations, and they're encouraging you to bring your pets. Again, that's Saturday, 7 p.m. at Yacht Haven Grand on St. Thomas. Let's take a look at our weather for the next week. Here's your News 2 AccuWeather forecast.
It is Friday. That means we may have some weekend plans. Good evening. I hope your week was great as well. Now, as we head into the current satellite, we do notice out towards the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, we have some moisture passing on through. The bulk of that moisture is going to stay to the south of us, and then we could be looking at another chance of moisture, a tropical wave pressing through the Leeward Islands, but most of that going to be to the south once again. So we're going to be looking at a pretty dry pattern for your extended forecast. As we head a little closer for our satellite here, once again, moisture coming across the Virgin Islands, some showers for this evening, continuing into tonight, and that's going to continue to press its way out towards Puerto Rico and in towards Hispaniola. Then we'll watch a next batch of moisture come on in, but behind that, drier air, and then just reduced down to our trade winds for the extended forecast. Tonight, partly cloudy, showers with a low of 79. We head into Saturday here in St. John, topping off at 89 degrees, partial sunshine. Also looking at A pretty nice day in St. Thomas, topping off in the upper 80s, and the same goes for St. Croix. Partial sunshine, mostly dry, not an abundant amount of moisture for the Virgin Islands, and topping off at 90 degrees. Your marine forecast, no advisories out, but we do notice the waves are a little bit higher than yesterday. Waves running 3 to 5 feet today. Winds of the east 10 to 15 knots on the Atlantic side, and looking quite the same on the Caribbean side. Waves running 3 to 5 feet, and winds out of the east 10 to 15 knots. So if you have any boating plans or just plan to head to the beach, it's not going to be too bad out there by any means. And we'll continue into this extended forecast, knowing that we will be watching tropical waves press through our area, but most of that moisture going to remain to the south, and in fact drier air going to be coming into our area for your Sunday as well as Monday. So that shower and rain activity is going to be minimal. We'll be looking at spotty wet weather for Sunday and Monday.
Thank you for that. Stick around. You News 2 Sports with Gary Anthony is coming up next.
I'm Gary Anthony, and this is News 2 Sports. Tim Duncan returned to the territory last Saturday for the 20th annual Sunstroke VI Hoop Classic at the UVI Sports and Fitness Center. The near-capacity crowd was treated to an exhibition of high-flying dunks, rejections, and good times. The Homeboys lost to a team of outstanding street ballers, 128 to 119. However, Duncan, the 5-time NBA champ and soon-to-be first-ballot Hall of Famer, poured in 21 points and grabbed 15 rebounds. It was all for a great cause, as this year's Classic was a fundraiser to restart the Hood Hoops Inter-Neighborhood Youth Basketball League. From hoops to the gridiron, it's NFL preseason football. Yeah! Last night in Washington, D.C., the Jets versus the Redskins. How did the new Jets QB savior, Sam Darnold, do? Darnold looked good early with solid completions to Jets receivers. But he is just a rookie making his first NFL start, and it showed on this 4th and 1 where his pass was tipped and then intercepted. Jets QB Teddy Bridgewater looked very good as he continues his comeback from a horrific knee injury 2 years ago that cost him almost 2 full seasons. He accounted for the only touchdown in the game, a 16-yard strike to Tyrone Peak. Washington wins 15-13 on a last-second field goal by Dustin Hopkins, who went 5 for 5 on the night. However, it's only preseason. And finally, congratulations to St. Croix native Ryder Odom. He and teammate Trevor Davis won the U.S. Junior Double-Handed Championship on August 10th in LaSalle, Michigan. That's it for sports. Have a fabulous weekend.
Thank you for that, Gary. And that's it for our show tonight. Make sure you follow us on Facebook at News2 or Instagram at TV2USVI. We want to hear from you, so tag us on any stories you want to see on the news or send us a message on Messenger. You can also email us at newsdirector@tv2.vi. Thanks again for joining us on News 2 Week in Review. I'm April Knight. We'll see you next time. Have a wonderful weekend.